All right, here we are again. Turkey season's in full force. We're episode, 7?
Episode 7.
Recording here in my beautiful kitchen studio on Smith Lake, Alabama. Thought we'd just drop in, no special guests, just a little bit of jibber jabber.
Just talk turkey.
Talk turkey. That's all that's on my mind anyway. I've worked very little since March 25th. You've worked none. But
I did work. I did work today.
Well, okay. All right, you worked
First
today.
day. Yeah.
Give us an update on the digit.
Went back to the doctor this morning. They pulled the stitches out. Still don't look real good, but they said everything seems to be healing fine. I've got to go back in 2 weeks and do another x-ray. But they did release me to go back to work as long as I keep it covered up so it don't get infected. So, and finish the antibiotics.
You get infected, they'll chop it off.
They're taking that end of that digit off, yeah.
Well, that's good news, and it didn't affect your shooting.
It may have.
No. The finger didn't affect nothing. Listen, folks, we have a disabled veteran over here beside us, so he's going to get an extra day to hunt. And he took on off, kind of abandoned my lonely self up here, and he went on off down to where you hunt at with Dowey, Alabama. Took off down there on Saturday, get ready for Sunday, which was a disabled hunter's day. So he could get an extra jump on me. I know that's what it was. He can say whatever he wanted to. He can say bad weather. I had the same weather. It didn't.
I just want to get in the woods. I mean, that's the truth of the matter.
Well, anyway, he did get in the woods Sunday morning.
Yeah, it was super cold.
I got this text. I've heard multiple birds, and they're gobbling everywhere.
Saw 3 hens right off the kickoff.
Of course, that was the day before the big front comes in, so it must have been had them fired up. Pressure must have had them fired up to gobble. I'm sitting at the house twiddling my thumbs going, that joker's going to kill a turkey. I'll have to look at them pictures. I'll have to hear all that crap. I can't even get in the woods till Monday. But...
well, fast forward to Monday.
No. I mean, Sunday came and Sunday went for you.
Yeah. That as the wind picked up, it was hard to hear anything. I mean, it was not favorable conditions for sure. The pollen, if you can't tell from the way I'm talking, I mean, the pollen's about to kill me.
Well, we move on to Monday. Of course, I took off. You knew I'd take off.
I was off as well.
You was already off. You was on medical leave. So I take off. I hunt a little farm over here in Bremen, Alabama. My uncle owns a little place, about 100 acres, but it holds turkeys, and it's held a bunch of turkeys this year. Most turkeys I've ever seen, which made me feel really good. But he's been on an extensive trapping program. He told me he's caught 42 coons, I think 12 possums, since he started catching them. He catches the possums, sometimes in a dog proof. He catches them in a box trap a lot, but he runs dog proof traps. Now, he didn't start trapping to help me and my turkeys, although that's greatly helped the turkeys. The dang coons was eating his pears off his pear tree. That's why he started trapping. He's not a turkey hunter, if you can tell. So I don't care why he was catching them. He just caught them. Anyway, so fast forward, we're Monday morning. I get there, 5:45. Give me plenty of time. I don't have but a couple 100 yards walk where I was going to hunt and listen from anyway. And, of course, the wind is already starting to howl way before daylight. It's been wet, so they ain't I couldn't see no tracks in the dark anyway, but it had rained. Or was the rain coming in?
No, the rain was coming
in Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I drift off down to where I'm going. I think me and you text back and forth. A little good luck. I don't know if you meant it or not, but
I needed it.
So I go and get in. I bought this little, I'm not a big blind hunter, but where I'm hunting at, there's nowhere to hunt, set up but a blind. And I bought that little Alps, Deception?
Deception blind, yeah.
And let me tell you, people, it is the bomb. Just big enough for one person. You can sit in your turkey chair. It's low on the ground. It's small. It's got little pockets on the side of it. You can put you a bottle of water or your call or whatever, if you got a pot call or box call. It's a nice little blind. And, of course, turkeys don't pay no attention to blinds anyway. You can sit out in the middle of the road. They'll walk around them. They don't I guess they just don't remember. I don't know. But morning goes on for me. I tree yapped a little bit, but it was windy. I couldn't hear anything. And morning goes on. I get the text from you. I think you had heard some turkeys or something. That
No, Monday was not good for me. I heard one bird gobble 3 times.
Well, that's 3 more gobbles than I had heard, which was discouraging for me because I run trail cameras over there and I've been getting, just multiple pictures of birds in this area regularly. For the last month. So
I had 2 birds together, roosted real close together Sunday morning, and they gobbled probably 50 times a piece. They were double gobbling. They were hammering on it. And so that's why I went to that area Monday morning, but they were nowhere to be found. They was not talking.
Well, I sit. Of course, the red birds are chirping and the crows are calling. I never heard an owl. Of course, it was windy, and they don't usually. You ain't gonna hear them. And I heard nothing, so I yelped a little bit at 7 o'clock. Used my Nick Wilson ghost cut mouth call, and I whipped out my red beard, my Dean. What's his Munkatin? How do you pronounce his name? Here I am. I call him my friend. I can't even pronounce his name, but I can't even pronounce half the English words correct anyway. But anyway, Redbeard, if you don't know, he makes custom pot calls.
He makes the track player.
Yes, which I didn't know what that was until really right before I got my call. If it's a 2-track, it's got 2 turkey tracks cut in. If it's a 3-track, it's got 3 turkey tracks. I was thinking, well, I might have 3 layers of this or 3. I didn't know. Anyway, he made me a pot call, and let me tell you, it's a little copper pot call.
Is it copper over glass?
Yeah, copper over glass, and it is sweet. It's 3 inches. It just fits right in the palm of your hand. When I first saw it, I thought, man, that's a little tiny call. I don't know if it's going to have the volume. Oh, it's got the volume.
That'd be a great size for a child or a woman. With,
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely. It's a great size for me. I like it because it's just that much less room in your pack.
Yeah, you can actually get it out of the pot call.
Yes.
Instead of fighting with it.
So anyway, I yelped on it a few times. I didn't hear anything, and I'm kind of getting discouraged. I've been getting pictures before 7 o'clock a lot of times when them things have come down off the roost and making their way wherever they go and whatever they do. And I'm watching down this long. It's just like an abandoned logging road. It just runs to a couple of green fields off down by the Sipsey. And I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and it was a couple of hen turkeys. They were coming up through the pines, coming that direction. So I whipped my old Tacticam on, which sometimes I forget to do, and eased my gun out the window. It's a pain getting it out that window with that camera the way it hangs down. I wish they'd make that thing where it was on the side of the barrel. And you could mount it on the side, but your camera would be sideways. There ain't no way to rotate the camera. Anyway, I see 2 hens, I see 4 hens, I see 6 hens, and I think there was 7 or 8 hens. I quit really looking at the hens when I caught a glimpse of this old white head bobbing back in there. It wasn't long. I could see that old rope swinging, and then about, 3 to 5, 6 feet behind him was another big old long beard. They were just following those hens. And I immediately turned my total attention to them. I was paying attention to the hens because they were within 25 yards of me. So they're all out there milling around like they do when they hit open area. They were crossing over, about to go down the other side. And the first longbeard comes out. And I heard something today. I was listening to a podcast with Harold Knight on it. He was a guest. But anyway, I'll tell you this whole story in a minute. But first one comes out, and Harold calls that first one a looker. He said, if they travel 2 at a time, he said, you'll always, that first one, he won't be strutting, he'll be looking. He said, that second one, he's the strutter. And I can attest to that because that turkey no more cleared the brush than he blew up. Just it was beautiful. Couldn't get him to gobble. I wanted him to gobble. But I wanted him out of strut because I was already ready to kill him. And he come out of strut, and then I realized now he's amongst the hens. So I had to wait on the hens to clear out, make sure he was clear of the other gobbler. And he finally got cleared out, and I smoked him. I mean, I got it on video. I got him coming out and me pulling the trigger, and of course the gun blew up out of my hand, and you don't really see him. You see him flopping a little bit. I mean, it was just a death flop. He wasn't flopping to get up. You don't have to, when you shoot TSS, you ain't got to get up and run to him, especially at that distance. So he's flopping. All the turkeys flew off, and I'm just kind of sitting there going, I think it's 7:15 and I'm done. So I eased out and walked over to him, checked him out. I believe he was a 2-year-old. He still had 11-inch beard. 11-inch beard, 3/4, 7/8 spurs. If he was 3-year-old, he was way behind. But I believe there was 2 of them. They've been 4 or 5 jakes that was there last year. I still think that was part of them. Anyway, I admired him for a few minutes, took a few pictures, started getting my stuff together to walk back toward the truck. And I had no more put that turkey up on my shoulder. Couldn't find my turkey tote until I got back to the truck. It was in my other pocket. So anyway, I toted him back, and I just started walking up the road, and I mean another big, and he hammered off down in the woods. It was like I didn't even shoot. But anyway, that was my hunt. I just brought him on back to the house and, cleaned him up, breasted him out. I skin out the legs and thighs. I like to make we'll take, a guy taught me this years ago, take and boil those things, tenderize them, and then instead of a shrimp gumbo, we make a turkey gumbo out of it. It's really good. You can throw some shrimp in there too if you want to. It's really good. We'll make some if you want to.
Yeah, we need to.
So anyway, that was my opening morning hunt. And now what Harold Knight said, which I wish I'd heard the day before, he said this first turkey will be the looker and the second one will be the strutter. He said, shoot the looker. He said, cause the strutter will strut tomorrow, but the looker ain't going to strut tomorrow. It'll take him a little while to realize he can strut.
Yeah, try to figure out where his place is.
Yeah. So,
yep, that makes sense.
And they were virtually the same size bird. I don't know if the measurements had come out. I thought the first one had a little shorter beard, but who am I guessing if one's 10 inches or 9 inches or 11 inches? I don't care if they got a full fan. I don't care if they got a beard. I don't care if they got spurs. I'm going to shoot them if they got a full fan. As long as they're a full-grown bird, they're going down in front of me. But since then, I've hunted a couple of mornings, and I hunted this evening. That's why I was late getting in. I hunted over there this evening. Them birds have been coming through. I thought I had this one big one. He's 3 or 4 years old. I thought I had him patterned. He'd been there every day between 3:30 and 4 o'clock going down that road. I figured feeding his way back to roost. But today, no, he was there from 12 to 2, and I got there at 2. I did go to work. I made an appearance. Just enough to sign a few checks and answer 1 or 2 phone calls. So that was my, basically, I guess you would call it opening week. I'm going down. I'm taking off tomorrow, surprise, surprise. I'm going to go down to my dad's house. Me and my brother's going to meet up. We try to do a Good Friday hunt. And hopefully we do some good and then truck off down toward Dallas County, I hope. And I know there's a couple of birds down there. I'm running some cameras there, but there's very few birds there. So I don't know if we do any good down there or not, but I'll get home Easter about 4 or 5 o'clock. Of course, I don't get Easter bunnies, and all my kids are grown, and grandkids don't live close, so I'm not pressured to be home any certain time. I'll have my sunrise service Sunday morning, sitting on a ridge somewhere. But that's my week in a recap right there. I don't know. You can elaborate on all your escapades, and if you don't elaborate on all of it, I will.
Well, we kind of covered Sunday and my Monday morning. Monday evening wasn't no better. We were still dealing with 20-mile-an-hour winds, so couldn't hear anything. Didn't even see any birds Monday evening. And then woke up Tuesday morning to super strong winds and pouring rain. So just kind of rested up, hung out Tuesday. They were showing it to stop raining about 2 o'clock. I think you had texted me and said, you better go. And I was already headed in.
Well, I knew it was stopping in Birmingham, so it wouldn't be long in Wadowee. It would be through there. So if you wasn't ready, get ready to go. I didn't know you was already in the truck.
Yeah, I was sitting in the truck waiting on the rain, waiting for it to stop. And then I set up. I don't know. I just had that feeling since I hadn't heard anything walking in, and because I had a few crows come over and didn't hear anything. I thought, well, I got a feeling they're going to want to come to the green fields, and dry out. So I decided I'd hit a food plot, and I got set up on it and made a few calls.
What time was that?
That was I was pretty much set up at
2
a little after 2.
A little after 2? Yeah.
Yeah. And then didn't hear anything, but it was peaceful sitting in the woods with no wind for a change. And crows started really getting with it, and I heard a long, distant gobble. And I said, it was so far. The first time he gobbled, I was like, did I hear a gobble? I mean, it was that far. And then I just kind of hung tight, and then crows went off again. That time he was definitely coming closer, but he was still probably 300 plus away. And he gobbled again. And when he gobbled that time, I tried to reach him with a mouth call. Of course, it was still a little bit windy, and I didn't get a response. So he gobbled to a crow again, and I thought, well, I'm going to cut this wind. And I took out the old Legacy Gang Green aluminum pot call and struck him. He gobbled back finally. And then called to him a few times, and he responded. And then I didn't hear anything, and I was just sitting there. It had been probably 15 or 20 minutes, and a crow flew right over the top of me. And when he did, he about blew my hat off. He was 40 or 50 yards down in a little bottom that I couldn't see him. But, he was so close that,
that'll get your heart pumping, don't it?
Yeah,
It does me.
I jumped, a little bit because he was just right there in my right ear. So I just waited him out. I knew he had already responded to me. He knew where I was at. So
If he was that close, he was coming.
yeah, another 10 or 15 minutes go by, though, and I'm thinking, man, what's the deal? And I was looking through some thick brush, and I seen that old white head and that old beard swinging, and I was like, there he is. And he just come up on the green field, but not out in the open. He was kind of in some thick brush on the edge of the green field and was feeding. And I had one little hole to shoot through because, you know me, I like to get in that thick stuff. And which is so open around me, I didn't have much choice. I had a log road behind me that's wide open, hardwoods to my right that's wide open, and a green field to my left. So, I had to get in what I could get in. And I had one little hole to shoot through, and he come out into that hole. But what was awesome, right before he took the step I needed him to, another crow come over and Sonny hammered, and I thought, well, that was beautiful. Here we go. And I had a little tree in front of me, and I kind of had to camp my shotgun a little bit to get around it to make sure I cleared it. And apparently I pulled the trigger. It went bang. He went, and I said, Lord, what happened? And of course I jumped up and run down there thinking that I'd hit him and maybe not a great shot, and I'd get him right there in the woods or whatever. And because he was about 45 yards. And I went down there and looked. I couldn't find anything. So when I come back up, I made a good couple circles in the woods. So I hate to leave a wounded bird. And I made a couple loops through the woods and come back up. And that was at 3:45 that I shot. And so I thought, well, still a pretty good while to roost. So I'll just sit back and try to figure out what happened. Was I'm coming back up to my turkey chair, I looked and I had shot the whole side out of a sapling, so I kind of know where my bulk of my shot
How far
went.
was that sapling?
About 7 yards. If it was that
took
far,
it took most all of the.
it may have been closer than that. I mean,
that shot hadn't even had time to start to spread out.
no, it was still it was high. Be honest with you, it may have been closer to 7 yards. It may have been more like 3 yards. That tree. I mean, it was right there in front of me. But I mean, when I was looking through my burris, that wasn't in there. I was looking just a big old white head.
You looked through and past everything, looking at that turkey. You focused on the turkey.
Well, that's
what you're supposed to do. But
yeah, I was focused. But it's not the first tree I killed.
No.
I'm kind of known for that. I killed one in Florida a couple years ago, and
we hadn't hunted that long together. Just what, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
and you've already killed 2 trees that I know of. So I don't know how many you've killed in the past, and all you tree huggers out there, you're welcome to shoot him an email if you want to, and just tell him what you think about these saplings he's killing. I mean,
well, I like to put it out there that TSS. I mean, it is good stuff, but it don't cut saplings down. So I don't think it's as dangerous as some people think it is.
If I was you, Steve Green told me he had thought about doing this for you. He was going to go saw that tree down and cut that piece out in Florida and send it to you and to mount. And I don't know if I wouldn't cut this other one down and start saving all that. If nothing else, when
power goes out,
you got a firewood. You'll have a whole cord of wood.
I didn't tell you that. I forgot to tell you that, but it was special. I mean, it's the first bird I actually got to work this year. It was another great hunt, even though I didn't kill. I mean, I was hunting, so it was a great hunt. But I hung my shell hole on that tree and left it there as a memory. And I'll tell you why, because I'm going to hunt that spot again. I'm not done with that spot.
You're going to saw that thing down before you hunt next time?
No, but I am gonna cut me a little better hole through there. When I got back, not only had I hit that tree, but I had a lot of those like wild grapevines hanging down, and they were just pouring water when I set back down. So
yeah,
I mean, I guess I just got excited, biffed, whatever you want to call it. But
look, you worked the turkey. I'd love to say I worked the turkey I killed. But I didn't really work that turkey. I did call a few times, though, and I hope those hens had heard it, and they heard it. If they gobbled, I couldn't hear them gobble. They're
definitely. I mean, we're still a little ways from the hens going and setting. I mean, there's about every bird I've had a picture of. He's got a flock of hens with him, and so I mean, it's just going to get better. The only problem is, you've got this weekend, and I believe next weekend to hunt Alabama, and I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot more time for it.
Because we leave on the 12th for opener in Kentucky on the 13th of April, and we hunt that weekend. And I got to get home. I got a meeting I got to go to in Orlando, and then I fly in Thursday. I get to Birmingham at 4:00.
And Friday,
we're going to pull out, headed to Tennessee.
Yep.
I'd like to get up there maybe in time to, if the
listen.
weather's good, to listen. Maybe get one to gobble or something. I don't necessarily think we got to get to Kentucky in time, but we still may. I mean,
I think we got a pretty good idea where to start.
Yeah, we already know about where they're at, and they're there this year, and I hope they're still there. They were a few weeks ago.
I really like that place that we started up there last year. That was a nice setup.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I didn't come in. I didn't get in till last night. I was supposed to have came home
Yeah, let's talk about you was going to come home Monday night, was you not?
Yeah, Monday night. And with the rain coming in and me not being able, being released for work yet, I called home and talked to my one and only, as you call her, and she said,
I don't call her that. That's what comes up on your telephone when she calls.
You give me plenty of heck about it, though. But I said, I can come home and sit in the rain, and it's going to be too wet the next day to work. And like I said, I still haven't got released. We have anything going on? And she said, no. So I said, well, I think I'm just going to come in Wednesday night because I got to be at the doctor Thursday. And she said, well, that works for me. So I hunted yesterday morning, Wednesday morning, yeah. Hunted Wednesday morning, and wasn't a great morning. Heard a couple of gobbles, but they were distant, and they were single gobbles. And then come out to grab some lunch and went back in at it was
what?
I think about 1:40.
You was there early. You was there way early because she's going to leave early.
And I went in and was walking down a log road and heard one gobble. And, he wasn't far, 100, 150. And so I decided I would find somewhere to go quick. And I got set up and called to him. And he hammered. And me and him went back and forth a couple times. And then he just shut up. So I shut up. I thought, well, he's coming. And I waited him out. And he never did show up. But I think I possibly heard a hen. So he could have been with some hens.
I was going to say, I bet he had some hens with him. Because they love to answer you and just tease you, I think.
And, with me walking, maybe he gobbled at a hen that had called, but I didn't hear her. Maybe I hadn't got in range or whatever. I was a little surprised with that. I mean, I heard a little bit of hen talk this weekend. Now I did Sunday morning. Oh, it was perfect. I told you where I was going to try to go. I didn't even make it. I was walking down through there, and a hen was roosted about 50 yards off the road, and I mean, at least she started tree upping like about the time I got to her. So I kind of just stopped right there, and I got to watch her pitch down, and two other hens come to her, and then them two birds that was gobbling and just hammered on at the bottom. All those hens pitched off that hill, went straight to them, and when they pitched off and flew off the hill, them gobblers quit gobbling. They had their ladies
job.
with
them. Yeah, they did their job.
Yeah.
And that's why he probably gobbled you walking in when you, yesterday.
Yeah.
He probably just trying to get you to come on down there to him. I'm like, well, that's what you're supposed to do or what hens generally do. We try so hard to make them do what it's not natural to them. I mean,
right.
It's an amazing thing that we kill turkeys because it's just not. It's not in nature that they go to the hens. The hens always go to them. But I guess though love sickness gets just to them sometimes, especially maybe a subordinate. That's the ones I like. Or a 2-year-old that he thinks he's found him one off to himself. He's going to run on over there and get her for, Big Daddy puts a stop to it. So anyway, at least that's what I think. That's what I've seen over the years.
That sums my week up until I've got to finish the job in the morning, and then my in-laws are coming in from Chicago for a little while tomorrow for a quick visit, and then they're going back to Murfreesboro tomorrow night. So as soon as they leave, I'm headed back out myself. I've got everything packed and ready to go.
Everything but a deception blind.
That's been. Yeah, man, I kind of need one. I've got a place I really want to hunt, but the leaves really haven't put on. It hasn't greened up down in Randolph County too good yet, and so, and the timber's getting a lot bigger, and they burnt some of it off, and you're just hung out in the wide open in a lot of places that I normally hunt. So I was going to try to get one of those deception blinds, but nobody's got them, and the earliest I could get one here was Tuesday. So I'm just going to have to take my chances.
You still gonna order one, or you just gonna?
Yeah,
Because you're gonna need it
I need
sooner or
one.
later. I mean, we don't know what we're gonna run into when we go out west.
Yeah, I mean, and two, they're so small and packable. I mean, they're like 5.2 pounds.
Yeah,
or
they're not
something.
heavy at
So
all.
You could stick it in your turkey pouch on the back, and
Tote your chair.
yeah, and I mean, if it gets if we get out west and it's raining or whatever, we'll have somewhere dry to at least pop up and go, because we're only there for so many days, and you just got to make the best of it.
No, we know you have to put the hours in when you out spending that kind of money. You're not at home. We did it in Florida. I don't know what we set 12 hours one day, one spot.
I will say that blocker outfit I bought, the heavier weight one for early season, it come in handy because it was cold a couple of mornings. We were under freeze advisory Sunday morning.
Well, you know, we're under frost advisory tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to be
coming
cold
off.
in the morning, and I got a little thin pair of base layers I'll probably have on in the morning.
I actually,
And Easter's supposed to be cold. Easter morning's going to be cold.
Tuesday morning with that wind, I put on base layers and that outfit. And I mean, when you sit there for a while, it got cool. So, but I do like that outfit.
Well, I did ease off down to my dad's house yesterday. My brother couldn't get down there to hunt, so I thought I'd go cut him off, see if I couldn't kill one while he wasn't around. Of course, didn't see anything, but that new vest I bought, that seat, no, it was very comfortable. I mean, I didn't carry a chair. I just walked around and called and set up on a big tree down in the bottom for about an hour. I was concerned, I wanted to try it out, so I do know if that's all I got, then I can use it. But I've done got so used to those chairs. It's hard to go. I mean, if you walk in miles, you might not want to tote a chair. Kind of like when we was in Nebraska and around or Kansas, we didn't know where we was going. You might not want to tote one. Because, my God, did we tote chairs? Like when we were in Kansas down that miles of that cornfield, was we in chairs?
Yeah, we carried
I couldn't
chairs.
remember if we was in the
Yeah.
chairs or just set up on the ground.
Yeah. We carried
But we
chairs.
knew where we was going that day.
Yeah. We didn't carry them the first day over there,
I don't think we carried them in Nebraska.
except the last
The
day.
last day we carried them in.
Because we knew where
We
we
were
were going.
we walked some miles in those two states.
Saw some beautiful country, though.
Oh, I want to go back to Nebraska.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to Kansas. We got to go back. You got to get your
I
Kansas
need to go
bird.
back to Kansas, but
But I don't have a Nebraska bird either, so.
yeah, I'd like to go back to that same area in Nebraska we went to. That was a really nice area.
Old Nick Wilson called me today, and we were talking about we all needed to get a whole big group and have a turkey camp somewhere out of state. I said, man, it'd be so cool. I said,
I would love to do that.
I would too. I think it'd be fun. Get an Airbnb. Man, if we could get that house back again in Kansas we was in.
Yeah.
I don't know if we was just there late, and them birds been pressured and
I
killed.
feel like we were there late. I mean, just from the sign menu, lots of foot tracks.
Lots of foot
and
tracks, yeah.
of course, people leaving some garbage that we picked up. And so.
Yeah, because we never ran into in Kansas. Those two guys come in. And,
Yeah, and they wouldn't even know we're close to us.
No. Well, they did come across that cornfield, which kind of. Remember when they come off the bank?
Actually, we saw 4 hunters. Remember, there was those 2 guys that were putting their snake boots and stuff on by the creek the one day.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
that was a long way
That's
from
a long
where we were
ways from
hunting.
us. But these other two guys, they knew where we had parked, and they did drive on down. But they went in, and then they come right across, and nearly, a couple hundred yards further up, they'd walked on top of us when they come off down that big hill.
Yeah.
I still don't know what happened to them because we abandoned ship. Wasn't that the day the tornado come? Or was that the day before?
Day before.
Okay.
Yep. Because the day that the storm come in, Me and you, we went in at 1 o'clock. It was 96 degrees.
Yes.
It was so hot. We had carried our drink bladders and stuff, but we'd about drink all of it
yeah.
by the time we got there because that was a little over a mile walk across that field. And we can tell you for sure, though, even if your phone's on silent
Yes.
and a nader comes in,
The phones go off.
it will tell you to take cover immediately. And there was no cover.
There wasn't nothing but a broken down windmill and a piece of a barn another mile across that field. I was like, where are you supposed to go? We're going to have to go crawl off this bank into the creek. Because I don't get worried with storms too much. Matter of fact, I've always wanted to go out west and chase those tornadoes, from a distance. But that thing was supposed to be coming right at us, and it was that old bluish, greenish,
It had
black.
some crazy lightning in it. That was the worst part, the lightning. I mean, it was popping.
Especially when you're sitting under them trees, you never know.
Well, there's nothing. You're sitting there on that big cut cornfield.
Well,
There's
you take off
nothing.
across the cornfield, you're the tallest thing.
Right. And, but the turkeys, they knew it was
They knew
coming
it. That
way
was the
before we
weirdest
did.
thing. If we had been there a couple of days, and those turkeys in the afternoons had been crossing from the far side to the side we sat on every day, go to roost, I think, on that creek.
In
that
one
creek
of two
bottom.
places. Yep.
And that's where we went to set up because we figured they'd be coming across there and we might could call one. But if these storms was coming, those turkeys come out of the woods behind us and went to the hills, which is weird. I don't know how many we saw go across that cornfield and went up into those, and I call them hills. They weren't mountains, but it was just like desolate, barren-looking hills to me, very, very few trees, but they knew those storms was coming. They didn't want to be where we was, and I kind of felt like maybe we should have been paying attention to them turkeys.
Well, that gobbler came out and we called to him and he stopped and looked at us. And I mean, you could tell he was wanting to come check that out, but he ended up running up in the hills too. And then that alert went off right after that.
It was like one of them Amber Alerts that you get. Your phone just goes crazy. You can't silence it. You can't do nothing. And it's, yeah. So never fear if you're out there. You will know if the weather gets bad. They let you know. And we ran into bad weather everywhere. I mean, we had the tornadoes and the wind come up through there, and we barely made it back to the truck in Kansas. And then
Nebraska we got
soaked. It held on us one morning going in.
Yeah. And then we got to South Dakota and it wasn't no better. It rained for started that evening and basically rained all day the next day.
Cold 40-degree rain too.
Oh yeah.
It was cold. It was cold.
But you were laid up warm watching the Golden Girls.
I can't. That's all I can say is, boys, just go out there. And if you get the opportunity, the first 15 minutes of your hunt, just kill it. You never know. You might not see that turkey again, or it might rain the rest of the time you're there.
Like I say, the next day we started off that morning. It had stopped raining for just a little while, and we heard.
When he says we, he's not talking about me.
No.
I drank coffee and went back to bed. I done killed my bird.
Me and my guide, we went to a couple of his places, and we heard one or two gobbling, but they didn't want to play the game. But we were in a Duramax, an older flatbed Duramax, and we stopped and filled it up with fuel.
He filled up the day. Me and him filled it up the day I killed mine. He filled it up that night. So
we rode so far though that we had burnt 3/4 of a tank of fuel.
That's what I'm saying. You started with a full tank the next morning.
Yeah, and we went all over. Of course, it stayed raining the whole time. We got we struck one more other bird. He gobbled the one time. That was it. And then, we got a little break further south of there, and me and him went there, and I ended up getting to kill a longbeard there. So,
yeah, we did great. South Dakota, it was good to both of us. And we killed it, had enough time, had an extra day to go see the sights. So,
yeah.
We rode around. We were in a little town called Rockersville, and it's the place to be. Apparently, you're right in the middle of, we wasn't far from Mount Rushmore. Then we went and saw
Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse. Then we went to Dead Horse. Was it Dead Horse?
Deadwood.
Deadwood. Beat a dead horse. We went to Deadwood, which was a cool town.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And then on to Sturgis, which is a ghost town when there ain't no motorcycles there. And then we circled on back and had dinner and got our little papers and stuff. They gave it to us that night. And
we done the awards ceremony. They cooked some killer prime
oh
rib.
man, excellent food. I mean, loved our little cabin we was in. And then we pulled out, headed for the house. But we debated hunting on the way home. I really didn't want to, but I would have. I could, wouldn't have to twist my arm too bad.
Well, we still had a few tags. I had one for Kansas and you had one for Nebraska. I wish we probably would have tried and at least stopped and spent one day in each one of those places.
We may have been single men.
May have.
Because we have run our trips. This one, everybody knew how long it was going to be for the most part. But, the Texas trip, we kind of doubled that stay from a 3-4 day trip to a 7-day trip.
And Oklahoma may get doubled if we don't kill.
Yeah. No, you're right. We're going to Oklahoma, and then that'll finish our turkey season unless. And we've talked about it. Take a couple of weeks off, rest up. Get the crying that turkey season's over, but it really ain't over if we don't want it to be over. I mean, I say you're going to have to work a little overtime, save some money for a plane ticket. You are going to fly. We ain't going to drive if we do this. And we need to fly, get to Maine or New York or somewhere. And we already know we may have a contact in an inn to somebody in Maine. So, and the cool thing about Maine, if they don't have no hunting on it, you just get out and go hunt. That's the coolest thing. That's kind of like the South was back in the 70s, 60s and 70s. You could just go hunt. Nobody cared. But I think it's a law up there. They have to post it. If it's not posted, I think it's because they look at the animals or everybody's animals.
Right.
So,
Well, we'll just have to see what happens between now and then.
Get your passport. If you had a passport, we wouldn't even do that. We'd just go Canada. I know we can hunt them up there in late May and June.
That's in the works. So.
Yeah, I got to call him. But that's our week in review and kind of looking forward on to the rest of turkey season. I really hope you kill one this weekend.
I hope everybody kills one this weekend.
I hope you kill one. I don't want you to kill no more trees.
Well, I should be limited out, hopefully, on trees for the year.
Yeah, you only shoot one a year, seems like.
Well, one every few years. So.
Well, I don't know. I seem to remember in Nebraska, it seemed like some cedar come down.
Yeah, but
you killed the turkey, but I mean, there was a little bit of cedars.
And that's my fault. I told you, I said, you're cutting too much out. You had a good shooting lane.
You fuss at me. You do this all the time. When we was in Florida, you fussed at me about when we hit that little island of pine trees. You cutting too much out. You cutting too much out. You ain't cutting too much out if you kill the turkey. So, anyway, I'll trim your lanes when we go somewhere else.
With your special tool.
Hey, I didn't know that thing was a collector's item. It's in my vest, though. I'm going to keep toting it. That thing on eBay was $300-something. I didn't even know they didn't make them no more because I was wanting to buy me a new one. It's a Gerber, like a turkey tool. It's a multi-tool, but it's got trimmers built into it. Knife blade, screwdrivers, a choke tool. Don't fit none of my chokes, but it's a choke tool. I think it's got a little awl in it. Hey, it's a pretty nifty little thing. I can't remember what it's called. I'll look it up and tell y'all next time what it's called. But it's a cool thing. It'll go in your belt. I just keep it in one of my pockets of my vest unless my vest gets too heavy. But I've had that thing 10, 15 years, I guess. I've kept it longer than most anything other than my owl hooter I lost last year. I'd had it 20 years.
Where do you think you lost that?
I know exactly where I lost it. I lost it in Kentucky, in Russellville, Kentucky, when me and Barry was walking down a fence line going to hunt that afternoon.
But you went back and looked for it.
I walked up and down that fence. But it's brown, and it was still brown up there, and it's thick. That that hadn't been bush hogged or anything, so it's briars. I mean, I walked all through it, and to get around to where I was setting up at, I had to go over. A tornado had come through there the year before, and there was tree limbs, stuff I had crawled all over everything. So somewhere down that fence or across to where I sat down that evening, and it just tore me up. I've since bought another one. I bought it off eBay. It looks just like it, but it ain't the same one. And I know it's been used. Of course, they've been used because they don't make them no more.
Right.
And boy, that thing had made a lot of turkeys gobble over the years. But what do you think? You ready to call this one good and get on? Well, you got to get on home, but I got to get packed, and I got to get up at 4 a.m. so I can get down and see if I can't hear one gobble before the sun comes up.
I guess I'll be hearing that John Deere excavator fire off.
You just keep your eyes open, make sure you don't see no picture of a turkey flying through. I have been known to shoot one before my brother could shoot. I shot one out from under him one year, but he couldn't see it. It was coming. If it had took 2 more steps, it'd been out behind that tree, and he could have seen it. So,
It didn't make it.
No, it didn't make it. But we did. We ended up killing another one. He killed one. So we have doubled. I counted up 4 times on Good Friday over the years. So
maybe you'll do it tomorrow.
I hope so.
Good luck to y'all.
And good luck to everybody else out there. Oh, and I think we got to talk about it outdoors, boys. They got one more live auction coming. If you guys missed that one last night,
It was Tuesday
night. That was the funniest, wildest auction. They raised nearly $15,000 for this girl and her family. And Alex, you'd have thought he was on drugs. I've never seen a skinny man jumping around. I don't know. I bet he swallowed his dip 3 or 4 times. Every time I saw him, he was putting a dip in his mouth.
He was slinging spit everywhere.
He sold calls that they were going to sell on this last auction, and then went and pulled 4 calls. I think it was 4 calls of his own out of his call collection. Was you still watching it then?
It kept going in and out of service down there where I was at. I made it all the way to
Did you see him sell the
signature or the signed? Was it a black label?
Yeah,
Pot call that was signed.
Did you see the deer horn trumpet get sold?
No, I think that was coming up, and
Okay.
I finally lost service.
I think it sold for like $700 or something, which was something. But things just started going crazy after that. They come up, they had another, I think it was Osage Orange Slate. Nick wanted it bad. It sounded good. I mean, it sounded real good. I even thought about bidding, but they started at like $500. And I think it sold for $700-800. And the crazy thing was the guy that bought it donated it right back. They sold it again.
Really?
He bought it and told them put it back in the auction.
That's stand up. Right
That is
there.
stand up. And then they brought out the pot call, and I can't remember who made it. The guy that won the Grand Nationals this year on the friction call, that was that call. They had it.
Oh man, I missed that.
I think it sold for $1,200. But what is this? It ain't nothing. Some guy said, I'll put $600 on top of whatever the highest bid is. Another guy come in with like, I'll put $500 on it. Another guy come in with like another couple hundred. I think that thing over $2,000 by the time it was said and done. Amazing. I mean, $1,200 was amazing. And the guy that bought it, he stand up. That's putting your money where your mouth is. So, and then Nick was so fired up. He run over and got some box call a fella had custom made him, autograph, sign, number, box call. A pot call somebody had made for him. What was that other call? Maybe it was a wing bone. Anyway, he ended up with 4 calls over there, and they got, I want to say he got $1,000-1,200 for them. That was still probably a good, if you divide it by 4, it was probably a good deal. I mean, he was jumping around. Well, you seen him jumping around that night after the bow shoot. It reminded me of that, but man, he was as straight as an arrow, but it was fun to watch. I was wanting to go to bed. I was getting up to go hunt, but I just couldn't log off of it till it was over. And I think I saw maybe up to 85 people on there at one time, which I thought was excellent. So.
Yeah, there was 40 something on there, maybe a few more than that. One time I seen like 48.
Yeah, no, it got upwards up to 80 something.
I don't know what happened. It started, and I had to go out in the driveway to get it started, and then I sat there at the table and didn't move my phone and watched quite a bit, and then finally I just lost connection. I couldn't ever get it to pull back up.
Well, I don't know what night it is next week. I think it's next week, but they're having their last live auction, and I encourage everybody to log on. It's Alex DeBoard, DEBORD. They'll have a link to it on the Talk About It Outdoors Facebook page and what time it is. I think it was 7:30 their time. I think
It was 8:30 their time, wasn't it? 7:30.
Yeah,
ours?
yeah. I mean, it was 9:30 or so. They went over an hour and a half. It was running late because I was going, man, I got to get up at 4 a.m. But it's one of the most worthy causes I can think of. That little girl, she's got a form of, it's like a pediatric ALS. I mean, and her family's struggling, as any family would. I don't care how strong you are, or if you got money or don't have money, or got insurance or don't have insurance. That takes a toll on you, your family, your bills, everything. And the KT team asked Alex and the Talk About It Outdoors crew to take on this cause and raise money for her. And I think they have done one bang up job.
Yep. And they're definitely not done.
No. This is I don't know how long it goes on, maybe for the whole year, but I know this will finish up their auction. Nick Wilson Game Calls, he's donating all his sales through April 1st. So if you need some mouth calls, let me tell you, that ghost cut works great. I mean, I love it. He's got several different cuts, but you get a hold of him, and like I said, if you order them before April 1st, all that money goes straight to this family. But anyway, that's all I've got on that. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's something worthwhile. We're not big enough to do something like that yet. One of these days, I hope we are. But I just wanted to say that before we got off here. But other than that, I guess I've about ran out of something to talk about. What about you?
Yeah. And again, this week, I just want to say thanks to everyone that's listening. If it's your first time listening, welcome aboard. We are on social media platforms. We're trying to post some reels and
Facebook,
things like that.
Facebook, Instagram. Our podcast is on YouTube now. We may be posting some video stuff up to that. We put some reels out on Instagram, Facebook. If you hadn't seen them, I think we've got 4 or 5 out there. Some hens yelping and turkeys gobbling. And I put a strutter thing up the other day. I put a little thing up on how to make your own chigger repellent from Prometheum that you can pick up at Tractor Supply. Go look that up. That'll save you big bucks, lots of money. I think me and Dustin both have been doing that for years. I was surprised so many people didn't know about it.
Well, I was buying the Sawyers, and I'm one of them. I over-treat things, kind of like Roundup. I'm going to put double what it says in there. And so, I mean, every 2 weeks I was spending $15, $18, because I'm one of them, even though it's supposed to last 2 or 3 washings.
You're going to retreat.
I am tired. I mean, one year I got just destroyed by chiggers. And so it was no fun. And I mean, I had over 100 chigger bites at one time. And so I spray well.
Well, I tell you the recipe, but I'll tell you, just go out there and look at it. Look at it. I got the whole thing on there, the mixture, how to do your clothes, your boots, your gloves, your hat. I do everything on. Some people don't do their face mask. I do. Mine's built in my hat, so it gets done. I hadn't had any issues with it. I don't chew on my mask or anything. But anyway, take a look at those things. Share us with your friends. If you like this podcast or don't like it, still go out and give us 5 stars. Help us out. Tell everybody you know. We're just trying to get the Meat and Two word out. power to the nation, the Meat and Two Nation. So,
Well, we got some things coming up, so we hope to grow this thing.
oh, we will. It's happening. It's nothing happens overnight. I mean, we're not Joe Rogan or, the Meat Eater crew. We're just a little old Meat and Two. Well, all right, now I guess we'll get out of here. What do you say?
Oh yeah.
We'll talk to you next week, people. Good luck out there. Kill some turkeys.